their as their mother watches on. Percy radiates carefree joy. Stanley shows hasty eagerness, and Bartholomew displays quiet diligence as their mother bids them farewell. Be safe, and build strong houses, my little ones. Good luck, Mother Pig says, entrusting them with a basket of supplies for their journey. Percy cheerfully constructs a straw house, his laughter echoing in the open air. The house appears unsteady as a wolf emerges from the woods, eyes fixed on Percy. The wolf approaches the flimsy structure. Little pig, let me come in," Percy responds defiantly. "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." Percy races desperately towards Stanley's stick house, his lungs burning, his hope hanging on a fragile refuge. The wolf appears behind him, his eyes burning with hunger as he roars. Little pigs, let me come in," Stanley and Percy cry out. "Not by the hair of our chinny chin chins." The wolf unleashes a torrent of air, shattering the stick house into splinters as Percy and Stanley scramble away in terror. Percy and Stanley arrive at Bartholomew's brick house, their faces etched with exhaustion and fear. The wolf appears, his frustration palpable as he stares at the impenetrable brick structure. The wolf puffs and puffs, but Bartholomew's brick house stands firm. The wolf circles Bartholomew's house, desperately seeking a weakness. Under the cloak of night, a menacing wolf claws his way onto the roof of the brick house, his gaze fixed ominously on the chimney. Inside, Bartholomew tends to the fire, oblivious to the danger lurking above. A sudden, startled yelp shatters the quiet as the wolf plummets down the chimney and into the pot. With swift resolve, Bartholomew slams the lid onto the pot, trapping the defeated wolf as Percy and Stanley exclaim, "Hez done for. We're safe. Thanks to Bartholomew." Inside the sturdy brick house, Percy and Stanley live happily with Bartholomew, learning the value of hard work and planning. Together, they reinforce the house, ensuring their haven remains strong and secure. In the garden, they cultivate vegetables, nurturing life and growth with care.
On the ocean's horizon lies a truth that could save us all. In this ancient tale of courage, a young girl feels the sea calling her name. Her village lives in peace on a paradise island, but darkness is spreading. Coconuts are rotting, fish are disappearing, and an ancient curse is killing their way of life. Only Moana, the chief's daughter, knows what must be done. Against her father's wishes, she sets sail alone into the vast Pacific. Her only companions, a clueless chicken in the ocean itself, which seems to bend to her will. The sea chose her for a reason. She must find Maui, a legendary demigod who stole the heart of Te Fiti. This powerful being, half god, half trickster, holds the key to restoring balance. But he's been trapped on a deserted island for 1,000 years, and he's not exactly thrilled to help. Together, they face impossible odds. Giant coconut pirates, a glittering crab obsessed with shiny things, and a terrifying lava monster stand in their way. But Moana discovers something more powerful than any magic: the strength of knowing who you truly are. Through raging storms and deadly battles, Moana never loses sight of her mission. She's not just saving her island, she's healing an ancient goddess, restoring harmony to the world, and proving that sometimes the greatest heroes come in the most unexpected forms. The ocean is calling. Will you answer?
Narrator. One summer day, the ant was busy gathering food, working hard under the sun. Ant. Winter is coming. I must collect food and store it while I can. Grasshopper enters, dancing and singing. Grasshopper. Why work so hard, Ant? Come and play with me. The weather is beautiful. Ant. I must prepare for the winter. You should too. Grasshopper. Laughing. Winter is far away. There's no need to worry now. Narrator. And so, the ant worked while the grasshopper played. Narrator. Soon, winter came. The ground was covered in snow. The ant stayed warm with plenty of food, but the grasshopper was cold and hungry. Grasshopper, knocking on the ant's door. Please, Ant, I have no food. Can you help me? Ant, I warned you in the summer, but come in. I'll share what I have. Narrator. The grasshopper learned his lesson. Work today to prepare for tomorrow. All together. Moral. It's wise to plan ahead and not waste time when you have it. In a sunlit woodland clearing, Hare strides confidently, proclaiming, "I'm the fastest animal in this whole forest. No one can outrun me." Squirrel and rabbit exchange eye rolls, their expressions conveying disbelief at Hare's arrogance. Tortoise slowly enters the clearing, overhearing Hare's boast with a measured gaze. Under the morning sun, animals gather at the ancient oak, their shadows stretching long across the starting line. Fox raises the whistle. Ready, set, go. Hare explodes into action, a cloud of dust swirling in his wake, while Tortoise begins his steady journey. Hare sprints ahead, his speed creating distance as he loses sight of Tortoise. Finding a shady tree, Hare relaxes and says, "Plenty of time to spare." Hare drifts off into a nap. Unseen. Tortoise perseveres. Tortoise passes the sleeping Hare. Tortoise approaches the finish line, a victory within reach as he crosses the final stretch. Hare awakens to the sight of Tortoise nearing victory, a sudden jolt of realization. A desperate sprint becomes a futile chase as Hare races against time, his efforts falling short. Triumph echoes as Tortoise crosses the finish line, his perseverance immortalized in victory. As the sunset bathes the woodland clearing in gold, animals gather, their expressions filled with admiration for Tortoise. Hare stumbles into view, his breath ragged, his posture reflecting his profound shame. Hare's voice cracks as he confesses, "I was overconfident. I underestimated you, Tortoise." Tortoise responds with gentle wisdom. Fast and flashy may fail. Slow and steady prevails. Honesto and his friends walk along the dusty path, the sun casting long shadows behind them. Laughter fills the air as they share stories and jokes, their youthful spirits unburdened. The village houses stand silent witness to their carefree journey home. On the village path, Honesto stops, his gaze drawn to a worn leather wallet resting on the dusty ground. He bends, his fingers touching the coarse leather as he picks it up. Inside, a thick wad of bills and an ID card bearing the name Mang Pedro. His friends gather, their eyes gleaming at the sight of the cash, their whispers turning to dreams of sweets and toys. Honesto's brow furrows, and a conflict shadows his face. Honesto arrives at Mang Pedro's humble home, his heart pounding with anticipation. Mang Pedro answers the door, his face etched with exhaustion from a long day's labor. Honesto extends his hand, saying, "I found this wallet on the path. I believe it belongs to you, Mang Pedro." Mang Pedro is overwhelmed with gratitude, exclaiming, "Oh my wallet. I thought I had lost it forever." "Thank you, Honesto. Thank you so much." The mayor presents Honesto with a certificate of honor and a scholarship, a moment celebrated by the students. Honesto stands proudly, a beacon of honesty and integrity for the village. The students applaud Honesto's achievements, their faces filled with admiration. In the vibrant schoolyard, children's carefree laughter fills the air, a symphony of youthful joy, before Max breaks the joyful atmosphere, shoving Tino from the swing. Tino falls abruptly, but rises quickly, defiant. He stares, unwavering, at Max, challenging him with silent intensity. The schoolyard falls silent, the air thick, with nervous anticipation, as all eyes turn to witness the unfolding confrontation. Tino stands resolute, facing Max as Mia, Lila, and Jonas gather beside him, their faces reflecting a mix of apprehension and hope. Max stares at the ground, consumed by shame. Tino's calm voice cuts through the tension. "You can take the swing, but you can't take away our happiness." Mia's voice trembles with concern. "You always push us around, but we still care about you. Why are you so mean?" Sunlight fills the classroom as Max speaks softly, revealing a hidden loneliness. "I feel lonely at home. My parents are always busy." His voice falters as he confesses, "I don't know how to make friends." The teacher listens attentively, offering silent support. In the Sunflower Village schoolyard, Max joins Tino, Mia, Lila, and Jonas in a vibrant play session. Laughter and shared toys create an atmosphere of pure joy. Max smiles genuinely, a symbol of his integration and acceptance.
Title: The Tale of Tim and Jake. In a quiet town, two boys named Tim and Jake lived on the same street. They were both smart and fun-loving, but they were very different when it came to manners. Tim was always polite. He said please, thank you, and excuse me. He helped elderly neighbors carry their groceries and greeted everyone with a smile. At school, he listened to his teachers and waited for his turn. Jake, on the other hand, often interrupted people. He never said thank you and pushed others just to get ahead. He talked back to adults and ignored rules. One day, the school announced a special trip to a science museum. Only 5 students with excellent behavior would be chosen to join. Everyone became excited. When the day of the announcement came, Tim was one of those chosen. The teachers praised his respect, kindness, and good behavior. Jake, however, was not picked. He frowned and muttered, "That's not fair." Later that day, Jake asked Tim, "Why did they choose you and not me?" Tim gently replied, "Being smart is good, but being respectful and kind is just as important. People remember how you treat them." Jake thought about Tim's words. From that day on, he started saying please and thank you. He learned to listen, help others, and show respect. Little by little, Jake changed for the better. Moral of the story: good manners show good character. Being respectful and kind opens more doors than just being smart alone. The story of the messy child. In a small neighborhood, there lived a boy named Timmy. Timmy was just like any other child, full of energy and curiosity. But there was one thing that made him stand out: was very messy. His toys, clothes, and even school supplies were always scattered around the house. Every morning, after breakfast, Timmy would run outside to play with his friends. He'd leave his shoes at the door, toss his jacket on the couch, and never bother to pick up his toys when he was done. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Rivera, would often ask him, "Timmy, please clean up after yourself." But Timmy would shrug and run off to play again. True to life moments. One evening, Timmy's parents were cleaning up the house for an important family visit. They wanted to make sure everything looked nice, as some relatives were coming over. Timmy's mother asked him again, "Timmy, please clean your room. It's a mess." Timmy, playing video games in the living room, just answered, "I'll do it later, Mom. I'm busy." He didn't think it was a big deal. He didn't see the mess as something to worry about. As the day went on, Timmy's parents kept cleaning and organizing, but Timmy continued to ignore the mess around him. The piles of toys in the living room, the shoes in the hallway, and the clothes on the floor didn't seem to bother him at all. The turning point. When the relatives arrived, Timmy didn't think much of it. He was busy playing with his toys, but his parents were embarrassed when the guests saw the mess inside. Timmy's aunt, who had a neat and tidy home, looked around and said to his mom, "You really should teach Timmy how to take care of his things." Timmy overheard this and felt a little embarrassed. He didn't want people to think he was careless. As the evening went on, he noticed his parents working hard to make everything look nice, while he had done nothing to help. His aunt's words stuck with him, and he realized that his mess wasn't just a problem for him, it affected his family too. A change of heart. The next morning, Timmy woke up early. He looked around his room and felt a bit uncomfortable with how messy it was. He remembered what his aunt had said, and he didn't want to feel embarrassed again, so he decided to clean up. First, he picked up his toys and put them back in their proper place. Then, he folded his clothes and put them in the laundry basket. He even made his bed for the first time in a long while. Moral of the story: when Timmy's parents saw what he had done, they were so proud of him. "Thank you for cleaning up, Timmy," his mom said with a smile. Timmy felt proud of himself too. He realized that keeping things organized wasn't just about making his parents happy, it made him feel good too. From that day on, Timmy started taking care of his things. He learned that being responsible wasn't just about cleaning up, but about showing respect for the things you have and for the people around you. In the bustling kitchen, Lena watches her parents, their morning rush a stark contrast to her quiet presence. Her mom juggles packing lunch and a phone call, her movements frantic. Dad is already consumed by his laptop, his focus elsewhere. Lena attempts a good morning, but the sounds of hurried footsteps and muffled voices drown out her small voice. Lena proudly displays her drawing of her dream school on the classroom wall. Other students admire it. Lena beams with pride. In the quiet of the night, Mom and Dad are immersed in their work under the soft glow of the table lamp. The shrill ring of the telephone shatters the stillness, pulling them from their focus. Ms. Evans' voice fills the room. "Lena did such a great job on her art project. She's such a bright student. I thought you'd like to know." In a moment of profound realization, Mom and Dad exchange a look, seeing Lena in a new light. Dad enters Linus' room, finding her lost in her drawing. He sits beside her. "I'm so proud of you, Lena." "I'm sorry, sweetie. I know I've been busy. I promise I'll try harder to notice the little things you do." Lena smiles, her heart feeling lighter.
Title: Ethan and the Endless Screen. Ethan was a 7-year-old boy who used to love riding his bike, drawing superheroes, and building Lego towers. But after his parents got busy working from home, They gave Ethan a tablet to help keep him entertained. At first, it was just for a little while some cartoons in the morning, or a few games after lunch. But soon, Ethan began using the tablet all day. From morning until bedtime, his eyes were on the screen. He stopped going outside. He didn't want to eat with his family. He didn't talk much anymore. When someone tried to take the tablet, he got angry, shouted, and sometimes even cried. After a few weeks, his parents noticed something was wrong. Ethan had dark circles under his eyes. He didn't sleep well. He got bored quickly when the tablet wasn't around. He didn't enjoy toys or stories like before, and he started struggling in school. He couldn't focus and forgot things easily. One day, Ethan refused to visit his grandma because he didn't want to pause his game. That's when his parents realized things had gone too far. They sat down with him and gently said, "Ethan, we love you, but screens are stealing your smile." Ethan didn't say anything, but later, he looked in the mirror. He didn't feel like the happy boy he used to be. So, they made a change. They created a new routine. 1 hour of tablet time a day, outdoor play in the morning, drawing, puzzles, or reading in the afternoon, family time every evening. At first, it was hard. Ethan cried a little. He got bored. But slowly, he started sleeping better. He laughed more. He played again. And he even said, "I had fun today," without touching the tablet. Moral of the story: too much screen time can make kids tired, lonely, angry, and forget how to enjoy real life. But with love and limits, every child can grow happy, healthy, and strong. The Quiet Boy in Grade 5. Story: Nino was only 11 years old, a grade 5 student in a public elementary school in Quezon City. Every day, he wore the same worn-out uniform, neatly washed by his mother, even though the collar had already frayed. His slippers were cracked, but he still wore them because he had no shoes. His classmates noticed and they made sure he never forgot it. At first, they called him names: Garbage Boy, Dirty Boy, Orphan. Then, they laughed at the way he spoke softly and struggled to read aloud. They'd snatch his things, hide his pad paper, or crumple his projects. Sometimes, they'd push him in line or throw crumpled paper at him during class. The teachers, busy with large classes, would say, "Ignore them, Nino. Don't be so sensitive." No one really asked how he was. He often sat alone during recess, eating cold rice with soy sauce, or sometimes just plain bread. If he had no snacks, he'd drink water from the faucet and pretend he wasn't hungry. Other kids would whisper, "Yuck, look at his food," then burst out laughing. The nightmare he faces every day. Every morning, Nino walks to school under the sun, crossing muddy paths in slippers that slip off every few steps. He clutches his old plastic folder tightly, praying today won't be like yesterday. He stays quiet in class not because he has nothing to say, but because he's scared of being laughed at. He flinches when someone behind him snickers. He always chooses the back seat, close to the wall, just to feel safer. During flag ceremony, he quietly, afraid someone will mock his voice. In group activities, no one wants to team up with him. When he tries to join games during recess, they shout, You don't know how?" and push him away. At home, in their tiny rented room, his mother asks how school was. He always says, "It's okay." But every night, before sleeping, he hugs his pillow and cries silently, hoping maybe tomorrow someone will be kind. The worst part? He's starting to think he deserves it. Moral of the story: the nightmare of being bullied is not just about the hurtful words or actions. It's about feeling invisible, like your pain doesn't matter. But sometimes, all it takes is one person to make a difference. Kindness and understanding can break the silence and show someone that they are not alone. Every person deserves respect and kindness, no matter how different they may seem. Even if things don't change overnight, small acts of kindness can have a lasting impact. You never know how much your words or actions can mean to someone who is struggling. The quiet. In the heart, a majestic lion, lies in peaceful slumber, bathed in dappled sunlight filtering through the dense canopy. The tranquil symphony of the jungle, the chirping of birds, the buzzing of insects, fills the air. A tiny mouse scurries across the lion's face, shattering the serene stillness. In the heart of the jungle, a fearsome lion roars, his anger shaking the very ground. Beneath the lion's paw, the tiny mouse squeaks in terror, pleading for mercy. Please, great lion, spare me. I am but a small creature. Perhaps one day, I can repay your kindness. The lion scoffs. How could you, so small, ever help me? Far from his tranquil haven, the lion finds himself ensnared in a cruel hunter's trap. He roars in defiance, each desperate struggle only tightening the net's unforgiving grip. His anguished cries reverberate through the dense jungle, a testament to his captivity and despair. Hearing the familiar roar, the little mouse knows the lion is in distress. Remembering his promise, he races toward the sound. He arrives to find the lion trapped. Deep in the jungle, the mouse begins to gnaw at the thick ropes of the net. His tiny teeth work tirelessly, the strands slowly beginning to break. The lion watches in amazement as the mouse perseveres. With a final snap, the net breaks open, and the lion is free. The lion emerges from the torn net, his imposing form casting a long shadow across the jungle floor. He stares down at the tiny mouse, surprise and gratitude mingling in his gaze. The lion speaks, his voice a low rumble. I never thought you could actually help me. The mouse responds with quiet confidence. Even the smallest creature can be of great help. Moral: even small friends can be a big help. Kindness is always rewarded.
Title: The House is Quiet. In a small rented home in Caloocan, the Santiago family lived in silence, too much silence. Danny, the father, worked at a call center. His shifts changed often, sometimes graveyard, sometimes midday. When he was home, he was always on his phone reading news, checking basketball scores, scrolling through Facebook groups. He said it helped him unwind, but truthfully, it helped him avoid conversation. Liza, the mother, once loved playing old OPM songs while cleaning, humming while she washed the dishes. But now, she spent hours watching YouTube vlogs, mukbangs, dramas, family channels, families that looked happier, cleaner, more connected than hers. She barely looked up from her screen, even when her children passed right by her. The kids, Kian, 14, and Belle, 9, lived in their own worlds. Kian had grown distant. He used to talk non-stop about school and basketball. Now he barely looked anyone in the eye. He was always in his room, watching game streams, messaging online friends. He got annoyed easily, and when someone called him, he'd just mutter, "Wait," even if he was only watching random videos. Belle tried to get attention in small, quiet ways. She would show her drawings to her mom, who would nod without looking. She'd tug at her older brother's shirt, asking him to play, but he'd brush her off. Eventually, she stopped trying. They still ate together physically, at least, but not really. The TV was always on, phones in everyone's hands. No one spoke, no one noticed the silence anymore. One Sunday, Belle drew a picture, their family sitting at the dinner table, smiling, talking, without a single phone in sight. She taped it to the fridge. No one said anything. A week passed. The drawing stayed there slightly wrinkled, stained with grease from someone grabbing food without even noticing it. One morning, while wiping the fridge, Liza accidentally tore the corner. She didn't even realize. That night, while scrolling on her phone, Liza watched a viral video about digital neglect. A psychologist in the video talked about how families lose each other not all at once, but slowly, silently, one scroll at a time. Liza looked around. Danny was asleep on the couch, still holding his phone. Kian was locked away in his room, headphones on, in the dark. Belle was in the corner, curled up with her tablet, the screen light flickering against her tired little face. Liza looked at the drawing again. For the first time, she really saw it. Then she sat down and cried. Not loudly, just quietly. The kind of cry that realizing you've lost something you didn't even notice was slipping away. The kind that doesn't fix anything. The kind that feels too late. And the house stayed quiet. Not full, quiet, just empty.
Type: 3 hearts, 1 home. Greg was 8 years old, Gray was 5, and Gwen was 3.
There were siblings who lived in a warm and happy home with their mama and papa. Greg, the eldest, was smart and helpful. He did well in school and always offered to carry groceries or help clean up. Gray, the middle child, was quiet, gentle, and kind. He didn't like loud fights and always tried to make peace. And then there was Gwen, the youngest, and the only girl in the family. She was cheerful, full of energy, and had the sweetest smile. Because she was the baby and the only girl, everyone gave her the most attention. Look at Gwen dance. Gwen wants ice cream, let's go. Gwen drew a circle. She's so clever. Greg and Gray watched quietly as Gwen got the biggest scoop of ice cream, the newest clothes, the longest bedtime stories, and the most cuddles. On Gray's 5th birthday, their parents forgot to get him a cake. They were too busy preparing Gwen's costume for her preschool show. Gray waited all day for someone to say happy birthday. That night, he took a slice of bread, stuck a crayon in it like a candle, and whispered to himself, "Happy birthday, Gray." Greg saw it from the doorway. He didn't say anything, but he felt the same. No one had made a big deal about his birthday either, not since Gwen started school. One day, Gwen found a little notebook under the couch. It was full of drawings. One showed Greg walking alone from school. Another showed Gray sitting by himself while Mama played with Gwen. In every drawing, Gwen was in the center, smiling while Greg and Gray stood in the background. Gwen took the notebook to Mama. Mama sat down quietly. Papa looked at the drawings and his heart sank. That evening, they called Greg and Gray into the living room. "We're so sorry," Mama said. "We didn't know how left out you felt. We love you both just as much as we love Gwen." Papa brought out 2 surprise cupcakes with candles sewn for Gray and 1 for Gray. Gwen gave each of her brothers a big hug and said, "I love you." From that day on, things changed. Their parents started praising Greg's hard work at school and noticed Gray's quiet kindness. Gwen still got hugs and cheers, but now, so did her brothers. Every night before bed, Mama and Papa told each of their children, "You are special. You are loved. Always." Moral lesson. Every child deserves to feel loved and important. Being the youngest or the loudest doesn't mean only one should shine. Even the quiet ones need to be seen. They should be loved and given attention equally.
The Wise Old Owl. A long time ago, in a quiet forest, there was a big, old tree. At the top of the tree lived a wise old owl. He had big round eyes and soft gray feathers. The animals called him Wise Owl because he was smart and always calm. Every day, the forest was noisy. The birds argued about berries. The squirrels fought over acorns. Even the deer sometimes got mad and stomped their feet. But Wise Owl stayed quiet. He just sat on his branch and watched. One day, the animals gathered under the tree. They were upset and tired of all the fighting. The robin chirped, "He took my berries." The squirrel squeaked, "She grabbed all the acorns." Then the little bunny looked up and asked, "Wise Owl, why don't you ever say anything? Don't you hear us?" Wise Owl opened his eyes and said, "I do hear you. I listen very carefully. That's how I learn. I don't talk a lot, because when I listen more, I understand more." The animals were surprised. "Really?" asked the fawn. "Yes," said Wise Owl. "Talking too much can cause problems, but listening helps you learn and understand each other." The animals stayed quiet for a moment. Then they nodded. From that day on, they tried to listen more and talk less. They started to share and help one another, and the forest became a happier, quieter place. Moral of the story: we learn more when we listen. It's wise to think before we speak.
The Little Red Hen. Once upon a time, a little red hen lived on a farm. She had 3 friends, a dog, a cat, and a duck. One day, the little red hen found some wheat seeds. "Who will help me plant these seeds?" she asked. "Not me," said the dog. "I'm too tired from chasing balls." "Not me," said the cat. "I'm too busy napping." "Not me," said the duck. "I have to swim in the pond." "Then I will do it myself," said the little red hen. She planted the seeds and took care of them until they grew into tall wheat. "Who will help me cut the wheat?" she asked. "Not me," said the dog. "I'm too busy digging holes." Not me, said the cat. I'm too busy playing with my tail. Not me, said the duck. I'm too busy swimming. Then I will do it myself, said the little red hen. She cut the wheat and carried it to the mill to make flour. Who will help me bake the bread? She asked. Not me, said the dog. I'm too tired from running around. Not me, said the cat. I'm too busy grooming myself. Not me, said the duck. I'm too busy waddling. Then I will do it myself, said the little red hen. She baked the bread, and the house smelled wonderful. Who will help me eat the bread? She asked. I will, said the dog. I will, said the cat. I will, said the duck. No, said the little red hen. You didn't help me. I did all the work, so I will eat the bread myself. And she did. Moral of the story. If you don't help with the work, you don't get to enjoy the reward.
Title: Mira's Last Smile. The sun had just begun to rise when Marco helped his 4-year-old daughter, Mira, into the backseat of their family car. She wore her favorite pink shirt and pants, the one her papa gave, and clutched her stuffed bunny tightly in her arms. We're sending Papa at the airport, right, Mama? She asked, her wide eyes full of wonder. Yes, baby, Marco replied, smiling through the rearview mirror. And maybe we'll see a plane up close. Beside him, Liza, his wife, laughed softly. She's been talking about this all night. Couldn't sleep. Marco reached over and squeezed her hand gently. It was just a simple send-off of his papa, again. A routine drive to the airport. Nothing unusual. Nothing dangerous. But life doesn't always give warnings. As they approached the entrance to NAIA, the sound of screeching tires tore through the morning calm. A black SUV, moving too fast, too recklessly, veered straight toward the crowded people outside the NAIA building. There was no time to react. The crash was violent. Metal bent, glass shattered, screams filled the air and then silence. When Marco opened his eyes, everything was blurry. The world tilted, and suddenly he felt the time had stopped. Mira was motionless under the SUV car. Her small body slumped over, the stuffed bunny slipping from her hands. Bloodstained were under the car. His heart stopped. No, he whispered, dragging himself toward her, ignoring the pain in his own body. Mira, baby, wake up. She's not moving. Liza was unconscious beside him, barely breathing, her head resting against the shattered window. The police arrived within minutes, but for Marco, time had already shattered. They pronounced Mira dead at the scene. Liza was rushed to the hospital, still alive, but broken. Liza hasn't woken up. Machines beep steadily beside her. Nurses come and go, speaking in soft tones. He hasn't told her. He can't. She's gone, he whispers to the empty room. Our baby is gone, and you don't even know yet. He stares at the stuffed bunny lying on the chair beside him. Mira's last treasure. The house is silent without her laughter. The world is cruelly unchanged, while his has stopped turning. And he dreads the moment Liza wakes because he knows that the second her eyes open, he'll have to break both of their hearts all over again. Moral lesson. Life is fragile and can change in an instant. Cherish every moment with the people you love.
Title: Deadly Day on S. C-Tex. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend. Carlo and Joy had taken their 2-year-old son, Liam, on a short road trip up north to visit family. They packed light, a small bag of clothes, Liam's favorite stuffed dog, and snacks for the drive. Carlo drove with one hand on the wheel and the other gently resting over Joy's. The Stex was unusually quiet that afternoon, just open road and the lull of tires on asphalt. But peace can be deceptive. Liam was in the back seat, babbling to the wind, pointing at trucks and clouds. A speeding bus came barreling down the highway, showing no signs of slowing. As it neared the Stex tollgate, failed to brake in time, crashing into several vehicles patiently lined up at the toll plaza. The sudden impact caused a chain reaction. 2 vehicles were crushed between the speeding bus and another truck, sending bystanders into a panic. When emergency responders arrived, the scene was grim. Carlo and Joy didn't make it. Their lives were taken instantly. But somehow, strapped in his car seat, Liam survived, bruised and crying. He reached out to the paramedic, who carried him from the wreckage. He didn't understand. He kept calling for Mama in a tiny, broken voice, not knowing she would never answer again. Now, Liam lives with his grandparents. He doesn't remember much about that day. Just small things. His dad's laugh, the lullabies his mom used to sing. He often cries holding the same stuffed dog from the trip. And sometimes he still asks, when are Mama and Papa coming back? There's never an easy answer. Moral of the story: life is fragile. Drive with care, love with urgency, and never take a single day for granted. Title: The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Once upon a time, there was a young boy who took care of sheep on a hill near his village. Every day, he watched the sheep to make sure they were safe and didn't run away. But watching sheep was very boring, and the boy had no one to talk to. One day, he had an idea. What if I pretend there's a wolf? He thought. Then the villagers will come running, and it will be funny. So he shouted loudly, "Wolf, wolf, a wolf is attacking the sheep." The villagers heard him and ran up the hill with sticks and tools to scare the wolf away. But when they got there, they didn't see a wolf, only the boy laughing. "You tricked us," they said. "That's not funny. Don't lie like that again." The boy promised not to do it again. But a few days later, he got bored again and shouted, "Wolf, wolf." Once more, the villagers came running, but there was no wolf. Just the boy laughing again. This time, the villagers were angry. "You're wasting our time," they said. "If you keep lying, no one will believe you next time." A few days later, a real wolf came out of the forest. The boy was scared. The wolf growled and crept closer to the sheep. The boy shouted as loud as he could, "Wolf, wolf, please help." But this time, no one came. The villagers thought he was playing another trick. The wolf chased the sheep, and the boy couldn't stop it. He felt very sad and sorry. He had learned a hard lesson. If you lie too many times, people won't trust you even when you're telling the truth. Moral: if you lie and break people's trust, they won't believe you even when you're telling the truth. Title: The Boy Who Chose Play Over Grades. Once there was a boy named Ryan. He was in elementary school, but he didn't like studying at all. Every day after school, instead of doing his homework, Ryan would rush outside to play, or stay inside playing games on his tablet. His parents and teachers always told him, "Ryan, you need to study. You can play after you finish your homework." But Ryan didn't listen. He thought studying was boring, and games were much more fun. At school, Ryan didn't pay attention in class. When the teacher asked questions, he didn't know the answers. During tests, he didn't do well because he didn't study. Slowly, his grades started to go down. One day the teacher announced, "We will have a big test next week. If you do well, you'll be rewarded. But if you fail, you will need to take extra classes after school." Ryan heard the warning, but still didn't study. "I'll be fine," he said to himself, and went back to playing games. When the test day came, Ryan didn't know how to answer most of the questions. He felt nervous and guessed many answers. A few days later, the teacher handed back the tests. Ryan got a very low score. He felt embarrassed. His friends had studied and got good grades. Now, he had to take extra classes while they got to play. That night, Ryan told his parents, "I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. I don't want to fall behind anymore." From then on, Ryan made time to study before playing. He started to do better in school and still had time to enjoy games after his work was done. Moral of the story: play is fun, but learning comes first. If you work hard now, you can enjoy even more later.
Title: The Goose That Laid the Golden Eggs. Once upon a time, a poor farmer lived in a small village. One day, he was surprised to find that one of his goose had laid a shiny golden egg. At first, he thought it was a trick, but when he took the egg to the market, he found out it was real gold. The next day, the same goose laid another golden egg, and then another the next day. This happened every morning. The farmer and his wife were so happy. They sold the golden eggs and started to become rich. They bought new clothes, fixed their house, and had plenty of food. But after some time, the farmer got greedy. He thought, "Why am I getting only one golden egg a day? If I cut the goose open, I can take out all the eggs at once." His wife tried to stop him, but he didn't listen. He grabbed a knife and killed the goose. When he opened it, There were no golden eggs inside, just like any other goose. The farmer was shocked and very sad. He had lost the goose that made him rich. Now, he would never get another golden egg again. From that day on, the farmer and his wife lived with regret. They had learned an important lesson. Being greedy can make you lose everything.
Title: The Crow and the Pitcher. One sunny afternoon, a thirsty crow flew across the sky. The sun was hot, and the ground was dry. The crow had been flying for a long time, looking for water to drink, but he couldn't find any. "I need water soon," he said to himself, "or I will get too tired to fly." Just then, he saw something shiny near a big tree. He flew down and saw a tall pitcher sitting on the ground. The pitcher had a little bit of water at the bottom. "Great," said the crow, and he looked inside, but the water was too low. He tried to reach it with his beak, but it was no use. He walked around the pitcher, thinking, "How can I get that water out?" Then he had a clever idea. He saw some small stones lying nearby. One by one, the crow picked up the stones with his beak and dropped them into the pitcher. Plop, plop, plop. As more stones went in, the water slowly began to rise. The crow kept working until, at last, the water reached the top. "Now I can drink," said the happy crow. He took a long, cool sip of water and felt much better. Then he flew away, proud of his smart idea. Moral of the story: think carefully and don't give up. Smart thinking can solve big problems.
Fido and the magic paintbrush. Once upon a time, in a small village in the Philippines, there was a kind boy named Lido. He lived with his Lola, grandmother, in a little hut near the rice fields. Lito loved to draw, but he didn't have any paper, crayons, or paint. So every day, he drew pictures in the dirt using a stick. One night, Lito had a dream. An old man in a barong came to him and said, "Lito, you are a good boy. Here is a magic paintbrush. Use it to help others." When Lito woke up, the brush was real. It was next to him on his mat. He ran outside and painted a fish in the sand. Suddenly, the fish came to life and jumped into the river. Lito smiled. "Wow, it's magic!" Lito began to paint things to help people. He painted food for the hungry. He painted slippers for kids with no shoes. He painted toys for the little ones. Everyone in the village was happy and thankful. But one day, a greedy mayor named Don Gustavo heard about the magic brush. "I want gold and treasure," he said. He sent his guards to take Lito and the brush. "Paint me gold," shouted Don Gustavo. "No," said Lito. "This brush is for helping people, not for greed." Don Gustavo got mad and locked Lito in a small room. But when he used the brush, nothing worked. The gold he painted didn't turn real. He brought Lito out again and said, "Fine, you paint for me." Lito had a plan. He said, "I'll paint you a boat to find treasure in the sea." He painted a big boat. The mayor jumped in. "Now paint the sea," he said. Lito painted big waves in a storm. The boat rocked and splashed. "Stop!" shouted Don Gustavo. But Lito drew one more huge wave. The boat flipped over and the greedy mayor was never seen again. Lito went back home and kept using the brush to help his village. He painted books for children, food for the poor, and even roofs for houses. He never used it for himself, only to share. Moral of the story: use your gifts to help others. Greed brings trouble, but kindness brings happiness.
The Friendly Firefly. One warm summer evening, a little girl named Lila was playing near her home. She followed a butterfly and walked too far into the forest. When the sun went down, everything got dark and Lila couldn't find her way back. She was lost and started to cry. Suddenly, a small light blinked in the dark. It was a firefly. The firefly in front of her, glowing brightly. It seemed to say, "Follow me." Lila wiped her tears and followed the little light. The firefly moved slowly so she could keep up. When Lila got tired or scared, the firefly stayed close to her, shining gently. Soon, more fireflies joined them. They lit the path like tiny stars, showing Lila the way home. After a while, she saw her house through the trees. She ran toward it happily. When she turned to say thank you, the fireflies were already flying away into the night sky. Lila smiled and waved. From then on, whenever she saw a firefly, she remembered her tiny friend who helped her find her way home. The end. The story teaches that help can come from unexpected places and that courage and trust can guide us through difficult moments.
I can.
King Midas and the Golden Touch. A long time ago, in a beautiful kingdom, there lived a rich king named Midas. He had everything he wanted, beautiful clothes, a big palace, and lots of gold. But Midas was never satisfied. He wanted more gold than anyone else in the world. One day, something magical happened. A strange man appeared in his garden. He told the king, "Because you have been kind to someone I care about, I will grant you one wish." Midas was excited. Without thinking too much, he said, "I wish everything I touch would turn to gold." The man warned him, "Are you sure? This wish may not bring you happiness." But Midas insisted. The next morning, when Midas woke up, he touched his bed. It turned into shiny gold. He touched his chair, the curtains, and even the flowers. All turned to gold. He was overjoyed, but soon he got hungry. He picked up a piece of bread, but it turned to gold. He tried to drink water, but even the cup and the water inside became solid gold. He couldn't eat or drink anything. Then his young daughter came running to him. "Father," she cried, hugging him. But as soon as he touched her, she turned into a golden statue. King Midas was heartbroken. He had all the gold he ever wanted, but he had lost the most important thing, his daughter's love. He cried and called out to the magical man, "Please take this power away. I was wrong to wish for it." The magical man appeared again and said, "Go to the river and wash your hands in the water, then sprinkle the water on what you turn to gold." Midas did as he was told. When he sprinkled the water on his daughter, she came back to life. He was so happy and thankful. From that day on, King Midas no longer cared about gold. He learned that love and family are more valuable than all the gold in the world. It teaches us that love, family, and the simple things in life are more valuable than money or riches. Wanting too much can lead to sadness, even if you get what you asked for. The timekeeper in our neighborhood. In a regular neighborhood with parks, pizza shops, and Wi-Fi everywhere lived a gentle old man named Mr. Timmy. He was quiet, friendly, and known for fixing things, especially clocks and watches. But what no one knew was this: Mr. Timmy had a magical watch. It could pause time, rewind it, or give you a few extra minutes when you really needed them. One day, a 10-year-old boy named Eli knocked on her door. He looked tired. "Mr. Timmy," he said, "I stayed up too late watching videos again. I missed my school bus. Can you help me?" Mr. Timmy looked at him kindly. "I'll help you today," he said. "But remember, the real magic is learning to use your time." He tapped his watch. Time slowed down just enough for Eli to grab his backpack, eat breakfast, and catch the bus. He was amazed. But the next day, Eli stayed up late again, playing games this time. And again, he ran to Mr. Timmy. This kept happening, not just with Eli, but with his friends too. "No worries," they'd say. "Mr. Timmy will fix it." They stopped using alarms. They ignored homework reminders. They played until midnight and scrolled on their phones for hours. Mr. Timmy sighed. They're forgetting how to own their time. So one morning, he turned off his watch and posted a message on the school app. "Time is already yours. You just need to use it." Kids were confused. Eli was frustrated at first. But then he decided to try something new. He set a bedtime. He made a small to-do list every morning. He even asked his parents to help him stay off screens after dinner. Slowly, things got easier. He felt proud getting to school on time all by himself. Soon, other kids followed his example. Mr. Timmy smiled from his window. He didn't need to use the timekeeper anymore. Now they were the timekeepers of their own lives. Moral of the story: you don't need magic to manage your time, just a little effort, some good habits, and belief in yourself. Title: Mila and the Magic Clock. Story: once upon a time in a small village, there lived a curious little girl named Mila. She was only 8 years old, but she often said, "I wish I could grow up already. Grown-ups get to stay up late, eat all the cookies they want, and do whatever they like." One evening, Mila found an old clock in her grandma's attic. It sparkled with gold and had tiny stars carved on it. A note beside it read, "Turn the hands and time will fly, but only once, so use it wise." Mila's eyes lit up. "This is my chance," she whispered. She turned the hands quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 18. Suddenly, the room spun, and when she opened her eyes, she was taller, with big shoes, and her hair tied up like a grown-up. She was 18. At first, Mila was thrilled. No bedtime, ice cream for dinner. But soon, she realized being a grown-up wasn't so easy. She had to cook her own food, wash her clothes, clean the house, and even go to work. There was no time to play, and no one read her bedtime stories anymore. She missed her toys, her friends, and cuddles from her parents. One night, Mila looked at the magic clock and said, "I don't want to be grown up yet. I want to be little again." But the clock only worked once. Mila sat quietly and learned to do her grown-up chores, but in her heart, she wished she had waited. Moral lesson: enjoy being a kid while you can. Growing up will come soon enough. Every age has its own magic, so don't rush it. The end. Title: Mr. Theo's Big Dream. Mr. Theo was a kind man who worked in a tall building. He wore a tie every day, looked very serious, and always said, "No time to play, I have work to do." But deep inside, Mr. Theo missed something. He missed running in the grass, drawing with crayons, and laughing just because the clouds looked funny. One night, after a long day, Mr. Theo fell asleep on his couch. In his dream, something amazing happened. He was a kid again. He was small, with tiny shoes and messy hair. He ran outside and jumped in puddles, climbed trees, played tag with kids, and ate rainbow ice cream. He built sandcastles, rode his bike fast, and even got a hug from his mom. Mr. Theo laughed and laughed. "I forgot how fun it is to be a kid," he shouted. The dream lasted a long, long time, or maybe just one night. When Mr. Theo woke up, he was an adult again, but something had changed. He smiled more. He played games with his niece at home. He even skipped down the sidewalk sometimes, when no one was looking. Mr. Theo realized he didn't have to be a child to enjoy life like one. Moral lesson: even when you grow up, you can still have fun, be curious, and enjoy the little things. Never lose the joy of being a kid. It's always in your heart. The end. Growing up alone. The story of a kid with busy parents. Growing up with parents who are always busy with work feels like living in a house that's empty, even when people are there. Every morning you wake up to find your parents already gone. Your mom is rushing to the hospital and your dad is in his office. You make breakfast alone, get ready for school alone, and eat your lunch alone. When the teacher asks about your family, you just say, "They're working," even though you wish they were there with you. After school, you come home to an empty house. Your mom is working late, and your dad is always on his laptop. Dinner is quiet, with your parents too tired to talk. You are left to entertain yourself reading, playing by yourself, or watching TV. You've stopped asking for their time because you know they're always busy. On weekends, it's the same. Other kids talk about trips and family fun, but your weekends are spent alone. You learn to do things by yourself, even if it's hard sometimes. When school events come, like Bring Your Parent Day, you sit alone, watching other kids with their families. You say, "My parents are working, but inside it stings." At night, when the house is quiet, you think about all the things you did without them. You wish they could have been there to see your small victories, to cheer for you, but they're always busy, chasing their dreams, and you've learned to understand that. But sometimes it hurts. You wish love was more than just words. You wish they could have put down their work long enough to be there for you. You grow up independent, but there's always a quiet ache inside, a longing for a time when your parents weren't so busy and you didn't have to be alone. The moral lesson is that love isn't just about words or providing material things, it's about spending time and being present. Children need their parents' attention and, most importantly, their guidance. It's not just their success. Story: The Quiet Kid. There once was a quiet boy named Sam. He wasn't loud or wild like some of the other kids. He liked soft things like reading under a blanket, drawing by the window, and listening to the wind in the trees. At school, Sam didn't talk much. He wasn't shy because he was scared. He was quiet because he liked quiet. But not everyone understood that. Sometimes kids laughed when he didn't want to join games. They said, "Why are you so weird?" Or, "You're no fun." Sam would smile a little, then walk away. He felt safest in his own little world. But sometimes it felt lonely too. At home, his parents worried. "You should talk more," they said. "Go play outside more. Make more friends." Sam tried, but it made him feel tired, like he had to be someone else to make everyone happy. He wished someone would just sit beside him and enjoy the silence. One day, his teacher gave the class a writing assignment. Write about who you are. Sam wrote about the joy of quiet mornings, the way stories live in books, and how the sky changes colors when no one is watching. He wrote about how it hurts to feel invisible, even when you're used to being alone. When the teacher read it, her eyes softened. "Sam," she said, "you have a beautiful voice, even if it's quiet." That day, Sam didn't feel broken. He felt seen. Years later, Sam grew up. He still liked quiet places and deep thoughts, and slowly, he found friends who liked those things too. He learned that being quiet isn't wrong. It's just another way to be strong. Moral lesson: introverts are not broken. They're thoughtful, kind, and full of quiet strength. Everyone deserves to be understood and accepted, just as they are.
This story: The Pencil That Didn't Want to Be Used. Once there was a new pencil. It was long, sharp, and shiny. It looked at the other pencils and said, "I don't want to be like them. They're short and dirty." The pencil wanted to stay new forever. So every time someone tried to use it, it would roll away or hide in the bag. The pencil was happy. "I'm still perfect," it said. But many months passed. The other pencils were shorter, but they were happy. They helped write stories, solve problems, and draw fun pictures. One day, someone found the new pencil and tried to use it. But when they wrote with its snap, the pencil broke. Its inside was dry, and it couldn't be sharpened anymore. Now it couldn't be used at all. The pencil was sad. "I wanted to stay perfect, but now I'm no help to anyone." Lesson: it's okay to get a little worn out. What matters most is that you help, learn, and do good things, just like the other pencils.
The Loud Voice in a Quiet Room. There was a boy named Leo who loved to talk and play. He was full of energy, always laughing and telling stories. At school, Leo loved to be around friends, to run, to shout, and to share his ideas. But sometimes, Leo felt very tired inside. You see, even though he wanted to be with everyone, sometimes the other kids didn't want to listen. When he talked a lot, some kids would say, "Leo, be quiet." or stop shouting. It made him feel small and sad. At home, Leo's family was quiet and calm. They liked reading books or watching TV quietly. Leo wanted to share his day and tell jokes, but his parents often seemed tired or busy. Sometimes, when Leo was excited, they told him to be quieter or calm down. Leo didn't want to be quiet. He wanted to be seen and heard. But when people told him to hush, he felt like his bright, loud light was being turned down. Sometimes Leo felt lonely in a noisy way. He had lots of feelings and stories inside, but didn't always have someone who wanted to hear them. One day, Leo's teacher noticed he was feeling sad. She gave the class a chance to share stories about themselves. When it was Leo's turn, he spoke about how much he loved to talk and play, but how sometimes it felt like no one wanted to listen. The class was quiet, and then his teacher smiled gently and said, "Leo, your voice matters. We just need to learn when to listen and when to share." From that day on, Leo's friends tried harder to listen, and Leo learned to take quiet moments too, so his loud, wonderful voice could shine even brighter. Moral lesson: everyone's feelings matter, whether they are loud or quiet. Being extroverted means you have a big heart full of stories, but it's also okay to rest and listen sometimes. True friends will want to hear you, no matter what. Title: The Boy with a Hero's Heart. In a small village in the mountains of the Philippines, there lived a boy named Andres. He wasn't rich, and after school, he helped his parents on the farm. One day, while walking home from school, Andres saw an old man carrying a heavy sack of rice. Right away, he helped the man, even though he was tired. Not every child would do what you just did. Soon, the whole village heard about Andres and his kindness. He helped a kid who lost his pencil and even shared his lunch with friends who had nothing to eat. Then, one day, a strong storm came. The wind blew hard, houses were destroyed, and the roads were flooded. Many people were scared, but not Andres. He was brave. He helped carry old people to safety, brought food to the evacuation center, and made the children smile by telling them funny stories. Everyone in the village called him the boy with a hero's heart, not because he was strong or powerful, but because his heart was full of courage, kindness, and love for others. He showed that anyone can be a aeronaut with strength or superpowers, but with a heart that cares and helps others. Moral of the story: you don't need to be big or strong to be a hero. A kind heart and the courage to help others is more than enough. The Mirror Boy. There was a boy named Leno who lived in a small village. Leno had shiny black hair, smooth skin, and a bright smile. Everyone said he was very handsome. Leno loved hearing people say, "You're so good looking." He would smile, look in the mirror, and say to himself, "I'm the best looking boy in the whole village." But Leno had a problem. He only cared about his looks. He didn't help anyone, didn't share, and never said kind words. One day, while walking near the river, Leno saw something shiny in the grass. It was a piece of a broken mirror, but it glowed with a soft, silver light. He looked at his reflection, but instead of his handsome face, he saw something very strange. He saw an older version of himself with sad eyes and a wrinkled face. "What is this? That can't be me," Leno said. Suddenly, the mirror whispered, "Beauty fades, but kindness stays forever. Who will you be when your looks are gone?" That night, Leno couldn't stop thinking about the mirror. He remembered the times he ignored others and how lonely that old version of himself looked. He wanted to change. The next day, Leno tried something new. He helped his neighbor carry heavy bags. He gave a sandwich to a hungry dog. Each time he did something kind, he felt happy inside. When he looked into the magic mirror again, his reflection had changed. Now he saw a happy version of himself, smiling with kind eyes and many friends beside him. From that day on, Leno still brushed his hair and liked to look nice. But more importantly, he worked hard to be a good person. People still said he was handsome, but now they also said, "Leno is helpful." Leno is kind. Leno is a true friend. And that made Leno smile more than any mirror ever could. Moral: looking nice is good, but being kind is better, and it lasts forever. The Silent Voice. Sky was 14. She didn't speak not because she was shy, but because she couldn't. Most kids ignored her. They thought silence meant nothing to say. But Sky noticed everything: feelings, signs, and little details no one else did. She drew, she texted, she used her eyes and hands to speak, but hardly anyone really listened. One day, a fire broke out at school. The alarms didn't work. People panicked. Smoke filled the halls. Everyone ran in different directions. Sky stayed calm. She grabbed her chalkboard and wrote, "Follow me, safe exit." All the kids saw it. She led them out a side door she remembered from quiet walks after class. Everyone she guided made it out safe. After that, things changed. People paid attention to Sky not because she spoke, but because she acted. They realized she didn't need a voice to be heard. Moral: you don't have to speak to make a difference. Actions, kindness, and courage speak louder than words. The face in the crowd. There once was a teenager named Liam. He was kind, smart, and funny, but very shy. He wanted to fit in more than anything, especially at his big new school. Every day, Liam watched the cool kids and tried to act just like them. If they wore black jackets, he wore one too. If they made jokes he didn't find funny, he laughed anyway. If they liked something, he liked it even if he didn't understand why. At first, it worked. The other kids smiled at him, he blended in. But something strange started to happen. Liam stopped drawing, even though he loved art. He quit the arts club, where he used to get excited about painting. He even stopped telling his own jokes, afraid people wouldn't laugh. One day, during a school assembly, the principal showed a photo of the crowd from the school fair. Everyone in the picture looked almost the same. Same clothes, same poses, same faces. Even Liam couldn't find himself. "Where am I?" he whispered. He finally spotted himself. Just a blur in the background, no different from the rest. That night, Liam looked in the mirror and realized, "I've become just another face in the crowd." The next day, Liam wore his favorite bright green hoodie, something he hadn't worn in weeks. He rejoined the arts club and signed up to paint a mural for the school wall. Some kids teased him, others were surprised. But a few said, "Cool hoodie," and one even joined the arts club too. Liam smiled not because everyone liked him, but because he liked him. Moral: be yourself. You were born to stand out, not just to fit in. The Forgotten Name. One bright morning, a girl woke up in the middle of a quiet forest. She didn't know where she was. She didn't know how she got there. And the strangest part, she didn't even know her own name. She sat up and looked around. Birds sang in the trees. A cool breeze brushed her cheeks. On the ground beside her was a shiny silver necklace with a small crest on it. She picked it up and held it tight. Soon, a kind woman from a nearby village found her and brought her home. "You poor thing," the woman said gently. "You can stay with us until you remember who you are." The villagers gave her a name, Luma, because they found her where the sunlight glowed through the trees. Luma tried to remember her past, but nothing came. Still, she worked hard every day. She helped the baker knead dough, carried water from the well, and played with the children. Slowly, she made new friends and started to feel happy. One day, a traveler came through the village. When he saw Luma, he stopped in surprise. "You're not Luma," he said. "You're Anira Velmora. You went missing a year ago. Your family is rich and lives in a big castle. They've been searching everywhere for you." Luma was quiet. The name Anira felt strange, like a story from someone else's book. "You can come home with me," the traveler said kindly. "You belong there." That night, Luma sat under the stars, holding the silver necklace in her hands. Maybe she had once been Anira. Maybe she came from a fancy place with grand halls and important names. But here, in this small village, she had chosen to be Luma. She had chosen to be kind, helpful, and brave. She had made her own story. The next morning, she smiled at the traveler. "Thank you," she said, "but I think I'll stay." Moral of the story: who you are isn't just about where you come from. You can choose who you want to be. The forgotten name. When the girl opened her eyes, she was lying on a hospital bed. Bright lights shone above her, and a soft beep came from the machines nearby. A nurse stood beside her. "You're awake," she said kindly. "Do you know your name?" The girl blinked. Her heart started to beat faster. "No," she whispered. She didn't remember anything, not her name, not her family, not even where she lived. The doctors said she had fallen and hit her head. They found her in a city park, all alone, with nothing but a backpack and a notebook full of doodles. Inside the backpack was a school book, but the name on it was smudged and hard to read. Until someone found out who she was, she stayed with a foster family. They were kind of woman named Mrs. Ray and her little dog Poppy. Mrs. Ray called her Leah, a name that meant strong and gentle. Leah liked how it sounded. Leah started going to a nearby school. It was scary at first, but she tried her best. She joined the art club and loved drawing. She helped younger kids with reading. She even started writing a journal, hoping it would help her figure out who she was. Weeks later, someone came to the school office. A man and woman, they said they were her real parents. They had been searching for their daughter, Sophie Lane, who had been missing for 2 months. They showed pictures. They cried. It really was her. But Leah didn't feel like Sophie Lane. She didn't remember their home, their hugs, or their favorite songs. She only remembered the new memories she had made a drawing, reading to kids, laughing with Mrs. Ray. That night, Leah sat with Mrs. Ray on the couch. "What if I don't feel like Sophie?" she asked. Mrs. Ray smiled gently. "Your past is part of you, but it's not all of you. You get to decide who you want to be." Leah nodded slowly. "Maybe. I can still be Leah. And Sophie too." "Maybe so," Mrs. Ray said. "You get to write your own story." Moral of the story: where you come from matters, but who you choose to be is just as important. You can build your identity, one day at a time. The Painted Smile. There once was a kid named Max. Max was the funniest kid in school. He made silly faces at lunch, told the best jokes, and always made his friends laugh. Even the teachers smiled when Max was around. Everyone called him Mr. Giggles. But what nobody knew was that Max wasn't always happy. At home, things were hard. Max's parents were always busy, and sometimes they argued. Max felt lonely. He missed how things used to be. But at school, Max kept smiling. He thought, "If I'm funny, no one will notice I'm sad." One day, Max's friend Zara noticed something. "Hey Max," she asked at recess, "are you really okay? You're laughing, but your eyes look tired." Froze. No one had ever asked him that before. He just whispered and just said, "I don't know. I just don't want anyone to worry." Zara gave him a hug. "It's okay to talk about it," Zara said. "That's what friends are for." So Max talked to Zara and even to his parents. Little by little, the heavy feeling in his heart started to feel lighter. His smile didn't just look real, it felt real. And guess what? Max was still funny, still loved, and never had to hide behind a painted smile again. Moral of the story: even the funniest kids can feel sad inside. You don't have to hide it. Talking to someone helps, and it's always okay to ask for help. Title: The Other Me. Once upon a time, in a small town, there lived a boy named Leo. Leo was smart, kind, and full of dreams, but he didn't believe in himself. He always thought other kids were better. One day, Leo found a shiny mirror in his attic. But this was no ordinary mirror. When he looked into it, he didn't see his usual self. It took him to another world. Instead, he saw another Leo Taller, more confident, wearing a sharp suit and standing on a big stage, winning a trophy. "Who are you?" Leo asked, wide-eyed. "I'm you," the grown-up Leo said with a smile. "I'm you who worked hard and believed in himself." Leo felt a twist in his chest. "I wish I were you. You're perfect." The grown-up Leo shook his head. "I'm not perfect. I just didn't give up. You can be. Stop wishing and start doing." "But I'm not good enough," Leo mumbled. "Wrong," the grown-up Leo said. "You are good enough. You just can't see it because you're too busy being jealous of me." Leo was quiet. He realized he had been so busy comparing himself to others, he hadn't tried to find what he was good at. From that day on, Leo stopped looking at the mirror. Instead, he picked up his guitar, started practicing every day, and even wrote his own songs. Months later, Leo stood on a small stage at school, playing music in front of a cheering crowd. He smiled. He didn't need to be that Leo anymore. He had become his own version of great. Moral: envy blinds you to your own potential. Believe in yourself, and you'll be amazed at what you can do. Title: The Mirror Thief. Once upon a time, in a big old city, there was a thief named Corvin. He was sneaky and fast, and he loved stealing shiny things, especially gold. One day, Corvin heard a story. In a spooky old house, deep underground, there was a hidden treasure. "It's more valuable than anything," people said. Corvin smiled. "That treasure will be mine." That night, he crept into the dark house. He tiptoed past creaky floors and spider webs. After solving tricky puzzles and dodging traps, he found a big wooden chest. "This is it," he whispered. He opened the chest, but there was no gold inside. No silver, no jewels, just a mirror. Corvin frowned. "What kind of treasure is this?" He looked into the mirror and something strange happened. Instead of just his face, he saw memories. His mother crying when he left home. A friend he once lied to. He stared blankly at the mirror. He remembered his simple life with his mother before he started stealing. Corvin felt a tight squeeze in his heart. He didn't want gold anymore. He wanted to be better. So he left the house with nothing in his hands but something new in his heart: the truth. From that day on, Corvin stopped stealing. He helped people instead. And when children asked, "Did you really find treasure?" he smiled and said, "Yes, I found the truth. And that's worth more than gold." Moral: the truth is more valuable than gold. Title: Life with Regrets. There once was a man named Jamie who loved to sit by the lake and wonder, "What if I had made different choices?" One day, as Jamie looked into the water, he saw something strange. His reflection didn't copy him, it talked back. "Hello, Jamie," the reflection said. His reflection said, "I am you, but the you who became a famous artist." Then his another reflection said, "I'm you who became a baker with a little shop." And another reflections popped up. Different life where Jamie became a policeman. At first, Jamie was amazed. "Wow, look at all the things I could have been." But then he felt sad. "I wasted my life," he whispered. Just then, one reflection, the one that looked exactly like him, spoke gently. "No, Jamie, you didn't waste anything. Regret is just a choice. Pick your path, then take the steps. You're the real one, and the real one still has time." Jamie sat quietly. He realized he didn't need to live every life. He just needed to live his life fully, starting now. So Jamie stood up, smiled at the lake, and walked away, not to chase the past, but to enjoy today. Moral of the story: don't live in regret. You can't live all the lives you could have, but you can live the one you have now. Title: The Invisible Girl. Once upon a time, in a bright little town, there lived a very shy girl named Anya. Anya was kind, smart, and had a lovely smile, but she didn't think much of herself. At school, she never raised her hand, even when she knew the answer. At recess, she sat alone. even though she really wanted to play. She thought, no one will notice me anyway. One morning, something strange happened. Anya woke up, looked in the mirror, and she couldn't see herself. Mom? She called, but her mom just walked past her room like she wasn't there. At school, nobody noticed she was missing. No one said hi. No one even looked around for her. Anya was invisible. At first, it was kind of fun. She could go anywhere without being seen. She even sneaked into the teacher's lounge. But soon, it didn't feel fun at all. It felt lonely. She shouted, waved her arms, even tapped someone's shoulder. Still, no one saw her. No one heard her. Tears rolled down her invisible cheeks. Why can't anyone see me? She whispered. Just then, a voice echoed from inside her heart. You're invisible because you believe you don't matter, Anya gasped. But I do matter. I think, I'm kind, I like to draw, I'm good at spelling. Her voice grew stronger. I do matter. Suddenly, poof, she saw her hands appear, then her arms, then her smiling face in the school bathroom mirror. Back in class, Anya nervously raised her hand. Yes, Anya, her teacher said, surprised and happy. Anya smiled. I believe in myself, she whispered. Anya woke up from a long dream and realized her worth. And from that day on, she built her confidence and trusts herself. Because once you believe in your own light, the world will see it too. Moral: you have to believe in your own worth because you shine brightest when you believe in yourself.